What is going on, everybody? I am here with Cage Warriors welterweight Bobby the Ghost Winther ahead of his matchup with Devin Goodale coming up on February 23rd at Cage Warriors 166 in San Diego. How are you doing today, man? Fight week. Got to feel
Doing
good.
great, man. I'm super excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, so first time back in the cage after your win, armbar in December.
hmm
What's it feel like to have a quick turnaround? You ready to go? Just,
It feels it feels good. I like to stay busy. Like and to get a good opponent
Mhm.
offered up right away, it helps me climb that ladder as fast as I want and start grabbing the bodies.
Absolutely. Yeah, so to go back a little bit before your MMA career, I know you started kind of with grappling and then moved into MMA from there. Was it always your plan to go to MMA after a while, or did you kind of just end up there after training for a while?
I had always wanted to try it, and when I was training grappling and stuff, I had just kind of I've always fallen in love with MMA, and was just thought that was like the pinnacle of a good fighter. It was
Hmm.
like you could do it all with everything on the table. So that I kind of always thought I would at least try it. And I wasn't sure exactly if I would ever go pro or not, but once I got the itch or once I got the taste, I was just like, all right, we got to keep going.
So two questions regarding jiu-jitsu. First of all, what's your opinion on the gi? And second of all, for somebody who maybe has done jiu-jitsu, hasn't done MMA, what, from your opinion, is it like? How does it change the game when strikes are involved?
For sure, yeah. So for gi, I got nothing against the gi. I just don't have time to train
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
It's just like there's so much to train right now. But
Mhm.
whenever I haven't thrown it on in a while, but whenever I do, I'm like, yeah, this is a super fun game and stuff. So the
Yeah.
guys that get really good at the gi, I think it's just like it's a whole different sport. To be honest with you, like I really think it's completely different than no gi.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like with the gi, it's a little bit slower paced and less athleticism required. So you can almost save it for post. You use your body for the explosive stuff now, and then have a gi down the road. Maybe once you're a little more, you know,
exactly,
chill
yeah.
about the whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of my style is like kind of like that top side, like pressure passing a lot,
Mhm,
and I like the game. I like how fast it moves like that. I think
mhm.
once I like get done with no gi or get done with MMA, I'll probably start throwing the gi back on a little bit
Yeah,
more, just to have some fun and,
absolutely.
and keep it going.
Obviously, with no gi, you've competed a lot with, or a few times with the ADCC. What's that experience been like? And then also, what do you think, or how, from your perspective, how would you say ADC is changing the grappling game right now, just for spectatorship and just the rule set?
It's great. I think ADCC is doing such a good job of like
Mhm,
marketing just grappling in general. So like I think like when you pigeonhole yourself into calling it jujitsu, you just
mhm,
get a lot of eyes turned off of it immediately. So when they call it grappling, you're gonna get all the wrestlers, you're gonna get all the jujitsu guys, judo players, everyone that like
mhm.
likes this stuff is like, okay, sweet. Like I want to watch it. So I think they're doing a great job. I think they're marketing well, and also I think they're just like I I think with all the opens that they're doing, they're giving
Mhm.
more than just like, hey, here's like almost the equivalent of the Olympic trials. Go ahead and try it, and it's really hard because
Yeah,
everyone's trying to do it. And then you have opens and stuff now, so people are like, oh yeah, I can do it. I can do like beginner, intermediate, advanced levels. So I think Mo's doing a great job, and I hope they keep him in charge of that. Um, but yeah, as far as like me kind of getting into it and competing, I knew that ADCC was just like a well-respected title.
mhm,
And that in my career, I just don't want to waste my time. I just want to go after those top titles and really get
absolutely.
after it and see where I compare with the top guys in the world. And honestly, it's been great. Uh, every single time I do like an ADCC tournament, I've gotten a little bit better than I did before. I've
Mhm.
knocked off a big name, and each single one I put on a really good performance with these guys. So I know I can hang up there with the top. I just got to put it all together in a tournament setting.
Absolutely. And the more MMA centric, kind of, not wrestling focused, but rewarding the top player a little bit more in ADCC obviously, combines well with that MMA aspect. So it's cool to have a grappling organization where you guys like you can have a dual career almost where you're, seeing that success in
Exactly.
grappling and it's building towards your MMA game as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
Nice.
that's exactly why I'm able to compete in both.
Mhm.
And I think the rule set favors like it favors that top position like you're talking about. And to kind of go back to your question earlier about like how does that change like with striking and
Mhm.
whatnot, like you start to see real fast that the guys that are so used to playing the bottom, if they transition to MMA, they start getting hit. It's hard for them to play that guard as
Mhm.
effectively. Or you start to see them, or on the inverse thing, like you start to see how great their jujitsu guard is. Like when they're able to defend the strikes and then like throw an armbar or a triangle up on the top or sweep off of that and wrestle up.
Mhm.
It's just really, really cool. It does change the dynamic a lot. You can't do everything that you want, but if you're good at something and you know what the stakes are when you go to like invert for something, you
Mhm.
gotta know that hey, if I get stuck here, I gotta move somewhere fast, or I'm about to get hit really hard. So,
Yeah.
I love it for that reason. It's so cool.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It really just makes you, yeah, have to plan extra move, all your moves just a little bit better. To kind of move on to your MMA career, obviously you have had your first two professional fights with Cage Warriors, coming up on your third. How did you find, obviously, an international promotion like Cage Warriors? How did you get involved with them, and what does it mean to have such a platform, early in your career at just, two, three professional fights so far?
Yeah. So San Diego was like I think Cage Warrior was already like moving to America, and they liked San Diego probably because the weather's super good
Mhm.
out here.
Yeah,
So
fun
I think the
vacation from
promoter.
England.
Exactly right. So there you go, dude. This is some nice weather. So they
Yeah.
set up shop here right around the time I was going pro, and I think when Graham came into San Diego, he was kind of like already hitting the scene with a lot of the local, like the bigger gyms and like the local coaches around here.
Mhm.
And fortunately for me, one of my coaches was one of those guys who was pulling. So right away, I had they had been doing a couple shows before I had went pro, but by the time I was going pro, they were pretty set and steady. They had ran the show a bunch of times, and
Yeah.
they were pretty much just like whenever he's ready to go pro, like let's bring him on, and because they liked what they saw in the amateur circuit, they liked the no-gi stuff and especially with the
Mhm.
ADCC stuff. So they were like, hey, I think this guy's a good fit. I think he can go somewhere. So fortunately for me. I didn't have to waste a bunch of time trying to find that big promotion.
Mhm.
They were like right there, and I had gotten the in right away. So for my career, it's like it's awesome. It can kind of like it just boosts your career and your momentum going forward because now every fight that you win and everyone's like, yo, that's a Cage Warriors win. Okay, all right, who's the next step after Cage Warriors? UFC's usually.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure it helps a ton to have, teammates like Anthony Orozco, and guys
Yeah,
even in the area like Robert Hernandez, who's fighting for a title here soon, to kind of build that Cage Warriors scene in, a place that's not traditionally seen as a Cage Warriors location, now they've
exactly.
really put that effort in San Diego.
Yeah, it's super cool, especially with Anthony. Anthony's got that star power. I love having him as my teammate.
Mhm.
And then having Robert Hernandez fight for the title as an American in this promotion, it's a big deal.
Really big deal.
We're all super stoked for it, and I think like a lot of the Europeans, I think the European scene is like, yo, the Americans already have enough. Like, let us like keep our thing. So I think there's always that clash with like the Europeans. They're always not gonna like the American scene, but hey, that's we're gonna make them like it pretty
Hey,
much.
it goes all the way back to the tattoo on your chest, 1776 right there. They don't
Yeah,
want us
damn
coming
right.
back over and getting a little more back. So
I know
I
it's
like
surreal.
it. So your next opponent coming up this Friday, February 23rd, Devin Goodale. He what do you know about him, and do you take a lot of stock in, watching your opponent's footage, or really like doing a lot of research about him, or do you kind of just go in, hey, this is about my game plan, my focus. I'm gonna go in and just do my thing.
Yeah, so with Devin, we know he's undefeated. He used to train in the area, and we had some guys that I train with now that used to train with him. So they know him, they know his style, and we do watch the tape. I like to watch. I always like to watch the tape. I'm a tactician, so I'm always figuring out like what the
Mhm.
game plan is. Me and my coach, we actually just sit down and watch it, and we go figure it out and bounce the ideas off each other. And then we just don't get too wrapped around the axle on it, though. We're not like, oh, what if he does this or what if he does that? It's more so like, all right, how does my game plan kind of fit into this puzzle piece? okay, what are some things we should be watching out for? What's he generally going to be trying to do? Does he want to press? Does he want to draw? Um, and
Mhm.
is there traps that he's setting right here? What's kind of weird things he does? Oh, so I was going to say with the
No, go ahead.
Alexander Volkanovski fight, with him even just losing, he does a lot of game planning, and in MMA, it just shows how unforgiving the sport is. Like, hey, both people are game planning so much, and hey, sometimes it just gets through on that one guy. Like, sometimes the other guy's game plan works better than yours.
What is the ideal 2024 look for Bobby Winther?
Yeah, so the rest of this 2024 is go ahead, grab this finish on Friday, um, and then we're gonna do trials at the end of March, and then we're gonna get back in that
Okay.
cage as soon as Cage Warriors wants me to be in there. I'm trying to stay active here. I had a 5 fight contract with them, so this will be 3, and then get 2 more with
Mhm.
them by the end of the year, and then hopefully either Cage Warriors is extending the contract, we're looking at a title soon, or maybe the Contender Series is knocking at the door for us, or maybe they need a short notice fighter. So I'm always ready, but my job is to just kind of keep stacking the finishes. I know that's what people want. That's all I try to do when I go out there.
Mhm.
So every single round, you're going to see me try to finish the guy. I'm not there to point out. I'm there to take his head off.
Well, we'd love to hear it. Really excited to see what you do on Friday. And any, shout outs, sponsors, teammates, coaches, anybody you really want to thank before we wrap up here?
Yeah, there's a whole list of them. But hey, shout out to my coach Vince over at the arena, Vince and Alex, and my whole team over in at Legion American Jiu Jitsu with Keenan Cornelius, Justin Flores over there, and the whole squad there. Everyone knows who they are. Sponsors, I got Defense Strategy Group, I got Born Primitive, I got Freebird Coffee. I got some other ones. I should have wrote these ones out before I did it though. I have a bunch of other
Mhm.
sponsors that I can send you later.
All good.
um, but yeah, and shout out to Marvin Hagler, wearing the old
Yeah,
hat for him.
we'll put them in the bio video. You're good.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Bobby. Really excited to see what you do this Friday, and best of luck in the coming months to your career.